Live. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast. It's a nerdy podcast and it's hosted by Northern Nerds. I am one of your hosts, Sam.
And I'm the other host, Paul, and we are joined by the master of mischief, the Tuckmeister himself, Tucky from Sunnycon. You might have recognised him from a previous podcast that he's been on with us. I think it was the Peacemaker, wasn't it, episode?
Peacemaker and Orgasmo.
Orgasmo, yes. I'll never forget the Orgasmo debacle. I know you'll die with that one with your sword, but yes.
I know him as Nigel. So.
Yes. Sam, the queen of known names, but yes, she called Tucky Nigel for an awfully long time.
I didn't. He told us to call him Nigel, so I did.
Bless you. But yes, Tucky, it is all about the Tuckster and his grandbaby, shall we say, or the thing that he could give us. That is Sunnycon.
It's like what one of the children now. I've got Alexis, I've got Gareth, and we've got Sunnycon.
Yes, bless you. So if you don't know this, if you lived under a rock, Tucky is the other half of Donna and Tucky. So like say,
like it's a power couple.
The power couple,
yes.
The nerd couple, the king queen royalty that you're talking to now. So. Especially in the northeast, so it is.
I'm a Republican. If I'm not voted for by my peers, then I'm not. I'm not taking any.
We'll have a nerdy vote later on as well. So yes. So this episode is a special episode because I've been trying to get, we've been thinking about doing this for quite a while, and especially with a convention coming up, shall we say, that everyone should go out and buy tickets for. With Sunnycon coming up, we want to have Tucky on to tell us a bit about Sunnycon and how it started, where it's at, and basically what the plans for in the future, if he's got any secret plans for us, but also just to tell us a little bit about him as well, because let's be honest, Tucky, you are a very interesting man.
Am I?
Yes.
You're a unique man, Tucky.
I hold interesting secrets. They're not mine, but I hold them.
Yes, the keeper of the secrets. Yes. So. But yes, so Tucky, give us a little bit of information about yourself there, just to, if pretend that our listeners know all about you.
I'm Tucky. I'm technically interim CEO of Sunnycon Anime Expo. There's a whole business structure there that we are organised. It's an anime event, anime and Japanese culture centric event. We're actually rebranding it to like anime and Asian culture because we've seen a lot of Korean, Chinese influences, and so we're trying to broaden our horizon, so to speak, and not just pigeonhole ourselves into one specific niche. We run an annual event, Sunnycon, every June, usually around about the summer solstice, so the days are long and hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
And we hold them in St James's Park, which is also like a greenhouse. So
it was probably the most hottest experience of my life being in Sunnycon. And I was totally not dressed for it.
we caught up with you at the convention last year. We bumped into you and you took us up to the special VIP bit, and it was the coolest place in the building. It was. I've never been so grateful.
You can't don't tell people we've got VIP bits.
I didn't know how else to describe it. It was just a way.
It was a staff room. We've got the St James's boxes, where they look out onto the pitch and that, and we can open them and we get the cool breeze that circulates around the bowl of St James's, and you'd stick your head out and it's like, whoo.
Yes.
It was brilliant. It was a really good moment.
But yes, people that do not know, we were invited by the lovely Tucky to be a part of Sunnycon last year and do our first.
You submitted to do a panel. You wanted it.
True, but you didn't have to accept it.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't have to.
It's a unique experience to have a live action podcast and that, and you were the only ones who were offering it, and we thought it would add to the experience for attendees, and it went down really well. We had lots of positive feedback.
Yes, and I shit myself at how many people actually came in that room. I thought there was only going to be 5 or 6 or even 10 at the most, but no, we did sell out that room if we were selling tickets. I like to think of it that way, but I still remember the first guy that walked in, bless him. I'll remember this to the day I die. He walked in, looked at us, and went, "What's this about?" I went, it's a podcast. He went, what's your podcast about? I went, well, we're a northern podcast talking about pop culture stuff, and we just, like say, generally have a conversation. I went, it's like talking with your mates in the pub. His exact runs, that sounds shit, and sat down and proceeded to ask us every single question throughout the con for the full hour. And he actually come up to us and said, look, I've signed up to your podcast afterwards. But I was like, what the fuck was going on?
Yeah, he sat the whole entire time and he had a conversation with us. He did exactly what Paul said we would do, and he sat and had
that's what you want. You want
with us.
interaction.
Yeah, and we
I don't have the chat open. Is anyone chatting on?
Yes, they are. We have the usual bunch in this tonight.
Yeah, Lee's.
Someone did mention about your steps as well. Lee's
yes,
there.
Lee and Christoph's talking about your 1 million steps. But yeah. you have got a nickname now. You are Tucky International Man of Mystery.
There's no mysteries about us. I'm just overweight. I'm not hiding anything.
We hide many things in our folds. I know that pain. But yes, so because it's been going for many years now, like Sunnycon. So what year did it start?
2012. Theoretically, it started in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going way back because I used to be long-term unemployed, let's say. Back in the days where the solution to unemployment was we will send you to a like third party or whoever the government was paying on the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And basically you sit in a room with people who are underqualified to give any advice. And what they do is they just stand there and say, go on the computer and look for a job. Look for a job. Look for a job. Are you above working at McDonald's? Like they really like get on your back on that. And I've had so many jobs in my life. I've worked as a carpenter at a skate park. I've ran a local shop. I've worked in Subway. I've worked in Burger King. I'm never working in fast food again. Like I've done practically everything but be an astronaut.
All right.
And
so is that the next step? Sunnycon in space.
It might be. if anybody's like got $5,000 to throw at us, I've got a really fun YouTube idea. but like I've done like a lot, and I got to a point where I didn't know what I wanted to do next.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to become self-employed, and originally I was going to set up a business selling like American football like merchandise because there wasn't much back then in 2010. And then I kind of switched it up and started selling anime merch.
Yes, you did.
The store. And we then went to conventions, and we went to the Nemicon in 2010. And it was around about June time as well. And we didn't know what to expect because I thought it's just going to be like a car boot sale. And a car boot sale for weebs. And like obviously I loved anime at the time, and it was one of my passions. But like I didn't know just to the extent of how much like there was a community there, because like we traveled down to Middlesbrough, and Middlesbrough, it's not the most attractive place, especially like back in 2010. And we were standing at the table, and we didn't know what to expect. And me and Donna were just standing there, and they let people in. And before you know it, there was just a flood of weebs, like every color of the rainbow and colors that have yet to be discovered, just flushing in. And we had this initial stampede, and within like the first 2 hours, we just worked that table. And it's weird, like thinking back, and we remember the electricity and the excitement of it. And at the end of that event, we turned around and we were basically, we can do this in Sunderland. And like we had no idea like where to start or what to do. And I just was like, I want to do this in Sunderland. And we looked at what like Nemicon didn't have, which was like voice actor guests. And we're like, right, then we'll bring our voice actor guests. And I personally went for Veronica Taylor and Chris Sabat, who like obviously Ash from Pokemon, Vegeta from Vegeta, Yamcha, and like loads of others from anime. Yeah. And like just out of nowhere, I asked them. And it wasn't like we're doing now, where we've got to contact an agent, contact them. There's a back and forth. There's a huge contract thing, and then there's minor edits to the contract. Like there's a whole process to it now.
Oh God, it sounds.
Back then it was just
sounds like a headache at times. I'll be honest.
It is. Back then it was just a case of like, go on Google Veronica Taylor, like see if she's got a personal email. Look, Alicia had it. Emailed her and says, "Do you want to come to our convention?" I'm like, yeah.
But to be
Wow.
fair though, to go that like balls to the wall that quick as well, it must have took some balls to do it. I know you're
Yeah, it
saying
was.
Brave.
back-
It's brave, if anything.
Well, back when we started, like there was like a handful. I'd say like a handful. Like this, like looking back to like the times back then, you would count like all the conventions in the UK throughout the whole year. You would count on both hands.
Mhm.
No, and that's not
Absolutely.
just sci-fi conventions. That's anime conventions. That the whole like bundles of niches. There was only about 6 or 7. So that like
Yeah.
I saw it as like, well, it's a gap in the market. I sell anime stuff. If I run a convention, I can sell more anime stuff at the convention.
Yeah.
And so we set it up, and it was kind of gatekeepery at the beginning. I'm not gonna lie, it felt unwelcoming at times.
Yeah.
Whereas people were happy to do it. Like people who went to conventions were very tribal about like, well, this convention's not going to stack up to the convention I go to, or this convention has to be run this way. I remember I was actually sent, and I think it's still floating about on Tumblr. There's like an image or like a document where it's like, so you want to run a convention, and there's just some arrogant douchebag who's written down, you need this for a convention, you need this for a convention, you're very arrogant for trying to run a convention in the first place, you need this and this and this.
Yeah.
And I remember I read through it all, I went, well, I've got 9 of them. Like, you need a secretary, you need a treasurer. I'm like, I've got a basic bookkeeping qualifications, I can do my own accounts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know how to submit the self-assessment tax thing, so I'm sorted.
But I think it's quite interesting though, because I know, like, not to go talk about like the past too much, but that's where me and you like first became acquainted a little bit.
Yeah.
Like kind of more, like say when you came in, like instantly you were my type of people, because like say speaking to nerds and stuff. So I think like Donna used to email us like things over where Jason, the person I'm not meant to name, was meant to say I've got to charge them stuff per the hour. And to be honest, like say this was interesting stuff. It was better than the boring like business cards and stuff I was doing. So I never used to keep a timesheet for Tucky's work. Sorry guys.
Oh, look at him.
So I used to get things in and do a lot of things like say just because like the way like the work was back then, I didn't really get on with the person that was running the business. End up screwing us over quite badly. But yes, so I never used to like say there was never many like business bills through for the Tucky's updates and changes.
I think I paid like about £25 a month or something for it, but there was also like charges for edits and that. And looking back on it now, when I'm running my own website now, I'm like, I was robbed.
Yeah.
But you learn from your mistakes, and there's loads of mistakes you'll make. Like if you're running any kind of thing or going into self-employment, you will make a shit ton of mistakes, but all you can do is learn and move on.
Certainly, but the design work was okay because it was from me, so that was.
Oh well,
it got us off. I remember though we got a complaint when we just launched the website, and it wasn't to do with the design or anything. It was like somebody, like say, it was that gatekeepery thing. Where somebody was like, "I hate this is everything that encapsulates what I hate about conventions." Like we've never even ran. We've ran our first bit of promo saying that we're an event just starting, and we already had somebody bitching about it, and it's. I remember thinking back like all the negatives, like, oh, it's just going to be a one-time event and that, and like 11 years down the line, here we are.
Still good.
Yeah, well, that's what it was like back in from 2012 to 2014 is when nerd culture started to like really creep its head out, and there was a lot of gatekeeping around that time, because obviously, you know, the people who'd not expressed their love for this were like, oh, hang on a minute, what the fuck are you doing?
That's the thing I said. It became so mainstream. I was saying like before we went live, like I've seen that many conventions start and stop. Some of them like 1 year wonders. Some of them like go biannual, and like the pandemic's hit, and there's a lot of one. I mean, we've just seen E3 go under. Recently. So. And it's weird to think of it like on more of a broader scale, like globally, because I take a lot of interest in American conventions, even though I can't afford to go over to any of them. Mostly just the steel what's working from them.
Yeah.
And like seeing in Britain, like MCM used to be like 2 shows, like a London and a Birmingham one, and now you've got MCM everywhere, and they got bought out by Reed Pop. And now that's like it's hundreds of thousands of people going to that. And when I first set out, I didn't know how big I wanted to be. And like you do like a business plan, and it's like, well, I want to be bigger than MCM somewhere down the line. But as the years go on, you kind of got to accept that you're limited by your location and you're limited by the resources you have.
Yeah.
And obviously, like I wouldn't say we're small. A lot of people think we're a small convention, but like
definitely not. Like I got my eyes opened like last year, because I again, this is not just me blowing smoke up your arse. I've never been to such a well-run place, like convention-wise. Like because I do like a convention. I've been to like some of the big ones in Manchester. Like when I lived in Manchester, like I think it was Showmasters when they used to do them. Like they're like
Showmasters,
and we had the shit show that was in the Northeast one. Like when Showmasters done that, that was just like a painful. Let's be honest. But
everyone leave your bags outside in the bushes. Don't worry, there's no suspicious about that.
Oh, no. But I was so surprised. Like everything was so nicely spaced out. I know we were just coming off the back of COVID, so like there's loads of regulations. But it just everything was just done so everything made sense, if that makes sense. You had the big hall and you had you're selling like a lot of selling places, but it was all grouped in so you could have a mosey around and you didn't feel overwhelmed because like a lot of the convention
that's years of mistakes. We've took like nearly a decade to get to that point because before, like when we first started, we started off in Crotry Leisure Centre, which is now just a field. And then we moved to like Seaburn Centre, which is now just a field. Actually, it's not a field anymore, is it? It's a hotel.
It's been knocked down into a hotel now. Yes, it's a very expensive hotel as well. Don't go for Sunday dinner; it's very pricey.
But like when we started, we were in leisure centres. We didn't have the luxury of like daft things like St James's provide us with tables. They set up tables. They add tablecloths and that. Before we used to have to like physically do that ourselves. We had to put chairs up on the first Sunnycon we ever ran. We had to legally like cable tie all the chairs together, which I thought it's very anal health and safety stuff. But I had like a 32 to 48 page document, which I had to go through every eventuality. I still do, but it's a lot easier now because I've practically experienced every eventuality.
See, that's why you're the international man of mystery now. So you've got a set of skills and you know how to use them.
Exactly. I didn't realize how big anime was up in the Northeast until I started doing the convention circuits around here. Like I had absolutely no idea. Like Carolyn misses such a mark at conventions because it is just surrounded in all these kids in fantastic cosplay. I haven't got a clue who they are, but they look absolutely fantastic in their bright colors. But it's such a market for it up here.
It's like it's a recent growth. Like say over the last 10 years, we've seen it go from like fringe niche where you'd get bullied for it to like I mean the other day I saw they've got Naruto pop figures in Aldi of all places.
Wow.
I'm saying like Asda's actually selling legitimate like official anime figurines. I was in Sainsbury's and that just baffles me as to just how fast and how quick like Crunchyroll was this piddly little site when we first started.
I remember it.
And like we actually were sponsored by them at one point, and the way they'd do a sponsorship was they'd give you a subscription to screen something over the weekend of the event, and you could pick anything on their catalogue. And like anime conventions used to have like a screening room set to the side where if you want to take away, you just sit to the side and you'd watch whatever's streaming at the time. And that was provided by Crunchyroll. Obviously, looking at them now, like this multi-billion-dollar company that's a subsidiary of Sony Entertainment. With
crazy
with these new theatrical like movie releases. I
remember it because this is my husband's genre. Anime that's my husband to a T. Like when we go shopping with Donna, I have to ask her what I should be getting, what I should be buying my husband, because I haven't a clue. And I remember when he first subscribed to Crunchyroll, it wasn't the greatest app at all.
It's came so far. And I think like we've managed to fester a community like within the Northeast, and like I say, there's been other conventions and that, but we've been like the one mainstay of it. And I'd like to take the credit for like this huge thing. Like no convention would touch the Northeast. Like none of the big ones would. Like there's been people crying out for an MCM or like Showmasters before they actually came up, and then
we're asking them to go away.
And like it was like, I'm not gonna lie, like I was kind of hurt when I heard like Showmasters coming up and people like, oh, get in Showmasters and everything, and I was like, we've been here the whole time.
No, but you've done it the right way. That's the thing. It's not just like you've built up. I'm not saying small, but you've built up from like where you've come from. I said learn from mistakes or from things that you've went from before, and now, as you said, when I think you got through probably what would be like a death knell for most conventions or for people that do small ones.
Like
the pandemic,
a few death nails for them. Like it's not just that. Like Sunnycon 3, we had to think on our feet because we had the Leisure Centre, Seaburn Leisure Centre, booked out for that year. But then they ran into troubles and they said they needed the toilets repairing and that. We couldn't understand why, but Sunderland Council were like, oh, the toilets need repaired, so you can't have the hire. So we were like, we were going to run in a March, and then we had to turn around and like change the date from March to June, and then we had to find a new venue within like that small period of time. And it was over the Christmas period when we were told. So we were like panicking because we've already sold a couple hundred tickets. And we've got an event but no venue. So we went next door to the Pullman, and luckily they were accommodating. Not the best venue. But we saw potential in getting a tent in the car park, and so Sunnycon 3 happened in a tent in the car park. And then obviously Sunnycon 4 went there, and then we didn't get the same tent, but the tents we ordered came in, and they were not at the quality we were promised. And so Sunnycon 4 literally could have flew away at any moment.
Oh God!
So if you want to start a convention, like my advice is try to keep it as indoors as possible. And like after Sunnycon 4, after that, like the Pullman was then getting shut down, and we're like, there's nowhere in Sunderland left. We've outgrew a city, and luckily Donna, on the off chance, we contacted St James's to do like one of our chibi events, which is like a scaled down Sunnycon, which is we use mostly as like a promotional thing, where we have like just a day full of like the stuff that we'd usually have. And St James's were like, well, why don't you just move the whole event here? And we're like,
wow,
all right, give us a price. Came back with a fair price. It's not cheap. I'm not allowed to disclose how much it costs.
And that's totally fine.
It's in the contract. It's like it's weird. Like I would love to tell people, but from when we started as well, like the prices like nearly doubled or tripled because of inflation, and that's weird. And we've only had to raise our prices once to try and accommodate for that, because we always want them to be like low prices.
And
we find we're fighting with like the much larger events, the likes of MCM and that, because people come at you and they're like, oh, why are you charging this much? And MCM's charging just like about £5 less, and you've got so much less on. It's like, well, budgeting wise, like if we didn't charge this much, we'd be defunct. There'd be no event. But then you got to think other events like MCM, they have 100,000 people. If I have 100,000 people, I'm buying the stadium outright.
That's right.
We don't have much option with like big conferencing venues. Even the new arena that's being built, they're only saying that's for like 12,500 people. And I've even petitioned for it before for the Northeast to have like a proper full-on entertainment arena and conferencing centre.
I know it's something they've looked into it before, but it's never been like announced. Type of saying, I know the smaller venues and stuff, but I think that's what the city's crying out. I think the last time they talked about it, they were going to do it down Hendon or something like that, or down the docks. But
like I was in the paper. If you look on the Sunderland Echo and type my name in, I'll be in not just for like bubble bath.
You've been in the papers a few times there, Tucky. So.
I've been in the papers, and what one of them was I tried to run an online petition. And anybody who's trying to run an online petition knows that petitions do nout. Doesn't matter what it's for, it never works. But it got people talking, and that was the thing, because I think Sunderland deserves like a huge arena, but they're happy with Newcastle having that business. And then you've got to look at like other venues like the Sage or like the Metro Arena. We've been at meetings at all of them, because we've wanted to run different events and that, and then we started looking further afield, like to Liverpool, and we were lucky enough to have the Liverpool event just before the pandemic, and there was a desire to expand and go into other cities, but we've kind of the pandemic's kind of like made us reevaluate where we are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of events out there that like I say, like the schedule's packed, like from the end of February all the way through to maybe say the beginning of November. There are so many events. There's like nearly 2 or 3 a week.
Because
we're reaching a point of oversaturation, and it's trying to get people interested to go and travel, because like say when there was 6 or 7, people could save up, they could hype themselves up, work on the cosplays and that. Now it's like, oh, I've been to this event now and I've got another event next week and there's another event, and like there's just too much variety out there now.
But I think that's where you set yourself apart though, because you're not just a separate con. Because I know, like I've talked to my friend Michael, he's an avid comic book fan, and his biggest complaint about like all these cons that's coming up is they're called comic book conventions, but there's no comic book artists. So that's always the thing. But you're not saying you're a comic convention, you're the anime convention.
So
it's that we try to get that, but a lot of people call us Comic Cons, and it's like I don't want to say like we're not a Comic Con, because we're not. We don't advertise. Like we're not even a manga convention. Like the traders and artists that we have there are a mix of creative crafts, importers for like of the goods that people would buy there. That's one of the things, like with the traders and artists, that we're finding that there's a huge like shift in the paradigm for what events want from their traders and artists. And we've seen it recently. MCM had the applications open for this year, and a lot of well-established like loyal artists who go to MCM every year have actually been rejected. And we're seeing a move now to events wanting more content creators there.
Right.
Like what was a press pass is now becoming a creator pass, because there's a lot.
I got turned down for the London one. I did try.
You don't need them.
No.
you've got a lot more folks out, because like everything within the creative industries are changing, because things like YouTube, things like Twitch, there's a bigger audience there, and if you want to bring people in, and we're no different. Like we have a big push on our YouTube, and that's why I'm doing daft challenges and that, because I realize that YouTube is like an excellent promotion tool if done right. And if people find you through YouTube, then they'll maybe want to go.
It is one of them things. Like I wish I could work out how YouTube works. I really do. I'll keep trying things, but they keep changing things and stuff. But I know
I've been constantly studying it for like the last 3-4 years. As soon as the pandemic hit, I'm always on this mission to improve myself in some way. And I've read books on how to like get viral videos, how to up your increase in your views, like little tricks and tips. Like on my recent video, you might notice the thumbnail actually blends into the video now.
Right.
Because YouTube's brought out this thing where the video will just start playing. So it goes from me with the thumbnail, and then that's straight into it, and it's like I've just jumped out of the thumbnail at you. And that's
so fucking cool.
That's like one of the little like tweaks and whatnot. And like you say, it's an ever changing place, because our YouTube used to be monetized at one point, and then Logan Paul decided to go to Japan and ruined it for everyone.
I was in YouTube at that time, and I literally had just finally figured out the monetizing. Like I got it all down. My views were fucking huge, and then all of a sudden just it changed, and I lost everything.
Like we had like 100 subscribers, and we were actually earning. We made £16.07. And you can't withdraw until you hit like £60. But like, and then they brought in the minimum watch hours and then the minimum subscribers. And it's like I worked hard just to get the 100 subscribers. And then I kind of had me little fears where I thought I'll do a YouTube series explaining behind the scenes of the convention, and hence where Behind the Weebs came from. But that turned into me just ranting.
Just to give you a shout out as well, if anyone isn't following like Sunnycon's YouTube channel, it is in the description below. I'm getting all professional like Goodwill. I did put it in the description, so if you do click on the description,
18 subscribers from 1,000.
So please do it.
I'm subscribed.
But we as well, we're close to hitting our benchmark as well. We've hit the 1,000 subscribers, thankfully, but we are only 400 hours out now of hitting the 4,000.
And that's the toughest part of
Yeah.
getting it for monetization.
Yeah.
I'm changing my tactic. I'm going the shorts route.
Yes.
Because I think I could probably get 10 million views on shorts before I could get the watch hours.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said, we've done, because I think we've been putting extra content out just to basically try and like boost up the, like, I was not saying we're doing it on purpose. Thank you guys for listening. But we are very close. We're hitting about, I think, averaging about 80 hours a week now. So we'll be hitting it probably in the next month, touch wood, as long as I keep going in this.
So what are you going to do with all the YouTube money when you get it?
Buy things.
Add to that.
Yes. But yeah,
this is the thing. What I found with YouTube is if you're constant, and something I've never been as constant. Like I said, I did that 1,000,000 steps challenge at the start of January, and I've been sitting on the footage for nearly a month. Because I've either procrastinate or there's a lot of work to do for the convention. Like things like we've got panels. I've got to make the cosplay contest go live soon.
Yeah.
And I'm also organising next year's cosplay contest on top of that because we've got like something special planned for that.
Oh.
So it's always that. Like if I had a team, if I had the money to pay for a team, I would.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the team we have at the moment are all volunteers, all do for free. They've all got like regular jobs.
Yeah.
Respectable members of society.
So, just out of interest, Tucky, when does the planning of Sunnycon start? Like once that one's happened, when does next year start planning, or is it just
it's
all
already
together?
it's a constant non-stop train.
Right.
It's like usually around about a year and a half. Like I say now in January now, I'm planning for 2024. Putting things in place. That's just like cosplay contest, but we also look at guests. We look at who could sell tickets, what could sell tickets, and that's the thing. Like the difficult part is trying to sell the tickets in a time frame that's suitable for us. Because if everybody who wanted Sunnycon tickets bought immediately, we'd be sorted. Yeah. Like I could plan, I could get an accurate amount of guests, but we've got to play a guessing game because the way tickets go is the initial like release, all the VIP and premium tickets usually go, and then we have like a trickle, and like we sell no more than about 100-200 tickets between end of July, like August through to say now like January, February time. That's our slowest time, and it's usually when it's like, oh, we need to pay a deposit on the venue, we need to book guests, we need to book hotels and get everything into place there, but we don't have the funds necessarily.
Right.
So we're always finding a way to work around it. And then come like April, May, June, we're flush with cash.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of it has to go straight back out to overdue bills and whatnot. But and then like we get the spike in July, and then it goes silent again. And before I used to be like, oh, I'll try and push tickets through these times. What I found after 10 years is it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And you've got to accept that people will buy last minute. People won't be persuaded until it's like much closer to the event. So I've done no promotion, basically no promotion between August all the way through to like now. Yeah. When we're starting to pick up more promotions. Yeah. That's one of the things I've learned like through the years, like the patterns in ticket sales. Yeah. Pandemic didn't help because we had a bit, we had the price with the venue, but the price goes on inflation as well. So back they kept the price at 2019's rates for 2022, and this year we've been hit with like 4 years of inflation rises, and so we're paying like X amount of thousands of pounds more for basically the same thing we paid for back then. Yeah, but they've got their overheads, and we understand that, but it's frustrating nonetheless because we now have to try and make up for 3 years of growth that's been stunted by that. And I think that's been like the more important thing for events coming out of the pandemic. It's trying to regain that momentum. Yeah, because if you've got a good event, you will build year on year on year. Yeah, and that's we've been lucky enough to manage, and we haven't stagnated at all. We've kept like a steady upward tick, and it's just trying to get that momentum back and push on for this year.
And I'm not saying like say by all means, like I've always said to like you and Donna, like please use us like our platform as well, like any which way we can to help, because like I say, we love you guys, like I say, you are like family type thing, so we want to help as much as we can in these types of
So there's only so much people can do. Like I say, promotions. It's usually either handing out flyers or just giving a mention. That's all it takes. Like just little mentions, like here and there. There's nothing really more like we can ask of people.
No,
but
I know.
I mean, try and advertise the proper way. We were in the Metro paper for Sunnycon 4. That cost us £100 because they were desperate, because no one was taking full page ads in the Metro. So I was chuffed to get that. But like normal print media or any other kind of media now, it's ridiculous prices. I mean, try and get influencers as well in on it. Like there was one influencer we wanted as a guest, and we got quoted, and like usually guests cost us well, back in the day they used to cost us like barely £1,000 to £2,000. Like £2,500 was like woof, you know, big shots. Now looking at it, like we're getting quoted like 5 to 10 grand, and this is for like the voice actors. I mean, I understand, you know, they've got a living to make. They're worth whatever they're worth. But for us, because in American conventions they can have loads of guests right in their doorstep. One like domestic flight away. Here it's like we've got to bring them over. They might want like premium or business flights. Like for what we can get, and it's like I say, the things that have evolved are like how we choose our guests. Because before we used to be like, oh, it'll cost like £1,000 out, and the pounds became so weak after Brexit as well. Like a guest's price, like inflation, like from when we first started, I think like it's gone up by about 300%. And that's one of the difficulties that we've had. Yeah,
but talking about guests, though, haven't you got? This is it, because last year you didn't have any guests at the con, but this year you've got guests.
Well, we were supposed to have guests at the con, but it's one of those things. Like ever since Sunnycon 4, because we had Sean Schemmel and Todd Habercorn. Schemmel, who's like the voice of Goku. Todd Habercorn was, I think it was Natsu in Fairy Tale, but like big name voice actors. And the thing with them was they cancelled like literal last second. We'd actually paid for flights that are non-refundable flights.
Oh my god!
And we couldn't really recuperate that. And they were like, obviously they're apologising, like illness and all that happens. It's all in the contract. Force majeure, I believe it's called. But
yes, I know that word very well.
But it's crippling to have it, like, because people get hyped and we spend thousands on promotion. And like last Sunnycon was no different. Like we'd spent like about nearly £500 on flyers to advertise Wendy Lee coming. And we put up and like, oh, we've got the new flyers for Wendy Lee. And like within an hour of us posting that, she'd contact us and said, oh, I can't make it anymore. And where I'm just sitting there with like £500 of flyers, like advertising her appearance. Just like,
God. It's becoming a regular thing within convention circuits after the pandemic. There's a lot of people are cancelling.
It is, and like that's always a frustration, because it's not us that's letting the fans down, but it feels like it's us that's letting the fans down. I mean, they do go on Twitter, they will apologise and whatnot, but it's like I say, we spend like months and thousands to advertise them, and it kind of hurts your reputation if they don't turn up. And like you say, like there's other conventions that have it where they'll announce and people will just like cancel working commitments. I think Flowers, Richard Epcar had like Netflix commitments and whatnot. So like obviously there's better money out there for them, and you know if there's better money, go for it. But it's just frustrating for us, because then we've got to plug a gap. It's not just like, oh, the guest isn't coming. It's like, what do we do now with the times we have on the timetable for their signings, their talks, panels? You know, we've got to fill all that at last second. And I think we've had enough experience to be able to kind of crisis manage it.
Yeah.
But if you ever need us, we can go longer than an hour. Do not worry about that.
You've heard us talk, Chucky.
It's like sci-fi guests and whatnot are no different. Like we've seen it with other conventions, and it's just the way the state of things are going. Like going in the future, I was having this discussion before the pandemic. because the people had to adapt, and voice actors started doing signings, cameo, and never before in the history has guests been so accessible.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of a double-edged sword for them because they've opened themselves to fans and everyone, and they can get the revenue directly there.
Yeah.
But when it comes to events now, if we book a guest that's like, well, you know, people are looking like, oh, well, I can just get them on Cameo right now for the same price I'm paying for a signature.
No, I think
it's different for.
I think James Masters is like 60 quid on Cameo at the moment, so not that I was looking.
See, that's like say it's accessible, and now people will be looking at that and thinking like, well, why would I pay like £50 for a ticket to go to an event? Like pay for the hotel, pay for the transport and everything. Like before you know it, like there's £1,000 just to get to the same venue as them, and then when you get inside the venue, you've got to pay practically the same price just to get a signature off them. And
I know what you're saying, but to me, like I might be old fashioned, but I go for the experience, not just like the guests now.
Oh yeah, there is that. Yeah. But like some people go for the signature when they see the guest and that. But it's an interesting thing to see how this works out going forward, because with guests being so accessible and people actually like, you know, cost of living crisis, you've got to think like, what now does the event offer you outside of the guests?
Yeah.
That's a focus we want for Sunnycon now. Like before we were guest centric, we were like, oh, we've got this big voice actor who's never been to Britain before.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like firsts. I know Veronica Taylor wasn't a first because she went to Showmasters in Birmingham or something. But this was like the first anime centric event. Chris Sabat, we brought him over first. There's been loads of them, but it's just like going forward for conventions, people are going to top that up, and if they can get the voice actor to do a signing, because some people pay like about 70 quid to get into like a big event, and then you've got to wait in a queue for like 2 hours of the event, and then you've got to fork over like another 60, 70 quid to the guest. Obviously you get to see them in person. Like it's that thing, is like, will you pay for the experience, or would you just like the kind of the trophy of it? Like I've got the
that's what a lot of conventions are now. It is literally getting the signature. It's not about it's not about the experience. It's I just need that signature because I need to complete this set, or I just need it for collection's sake. Oh my god,
we've just seen a ghost, guys.
Fucking hell. Between that and I've got banging going on, like, because I can't hear anything with these headphones on, and I can hear banging going on. That just nearly made me heart stop.
Bless you.
Oh god!
But no, ghost on it to swap past that. She's a lie. But yeah,
but back to conventions. Like we've got to now look at the future of how we run events, and we've got to focus in on things like cosplay. You can't do well. I mean, you can do it at home, and if you've got a green screen, you're practically anywhere in the world, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it's trying to get that experience, and we're struggling and mixing some things about where you go and you'll see something that you'll not see anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like we want like things like photo opportunities, like over in America, the big anime expo.
Yeah,
they've got this whole area that's planned out that has, you can be in like a Japanese school, or you can be like within a tea house, or a sci-fi like Red Dwarfish kind of setting, and that's where you can go with your cosplayers and you can take the pictures, and that's a great experience.
Yeah.
For us, it's more of like the venue, the setup, the health and safety at the moment. We're trying to get around so we can have something like that. Or we can just stick a green screen up and
that is actually a brilliant idea, because one thing I did notice like about Sunnycon, because like say you do have your own like you do now have back the Facebook group as well, where like last year it was called the unofficial Sunnycon group, but a lot of the people were arranging meetups to get the photos of the characters. So if you can get them type of areas where it's like surrounded by them, it can then draw them into things. So I think that would be a cracking idea.
It's something like I say, it's something that we need to work on now, because that's the future. And like I said, 3D printing was the future of cosplay, and it is now. And this was going back to Sunnycon 3. I actually looked into again because there was a guy offering 3D scanning, and basically what we want to do was people come in in full cosplay. They'll stand, they'll pause, and this guy will like do a full 3D scan of them in the cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
and then either print it out and then offer like the painted, or just give them like the raw one. And it's like, it's you're that character.
That's
You're a
amazing.
figure of yourself.
Yeah, and like, I mean, the scanning technology's moved on a little bit, not much, admittedly, but when it gets to the point where somebody could just stand on like a turntable and like in 1 minute, like just have a camera like go up and scan while the turntable rotates. If the scanning technology becomes that, and then you can have your own action figure like printed out for you.
That's
Like
so
sent you.
fucking cool, man.
And that's like the future. It's not there yet, but that's one of the things I think is going to be the future of games.
And what about like say, like just going back to like say the like you said, the things for the future as well, like incorporating like the Sunnycon YouTube channel. Have you ever thought about like doing like a digital side where like it's a digital tour of the Sunnycon?
There's a convention in America called DragonCon. They offer a streaming service where you subscribe. I think it's like $20 or something, and you get access to all the panels and that. Obviously, like at the moment, our technology is like it's resigned to like this is the best bit of technology I have at the moment, a wireless microphone.
Yeah.
But if I had the rigging, if I had the camera equipment, if I had like I've got the software. But I ideally want to capture every single bit of Sunnycon that I can.
Yeah,
it's the one area we've been lacking in. Like we do have on our YouTube channel a few panels, but that's one of the promotional things. Like people walking around in cosplay, people actually at the panels and what the panels are like. It's kind of a try before you buy.
Yeah,
and like live streams and that's we've seen that like incorporated into loads of events.
Yeah.
So the things there. The Wi-Fi connection's a bit spotty at the moment in the stadium, so it's on a level of live streaming. Probably not. Maybe just do like a few things where we walk around. We did one where Ed gave like a small tour of the venue, but like putting them into video formats afterwards and like putting them on YouTube for people to watch. Definitely, it's. I think all events should be doing that now. If you haven't got somebody with a camera and like audio recording equipment. Like filming like stuff, you are missing out a huge chunk because that's where people go. People go on and they see like, oh well, what's the panels like, and you get to see and you actually can sense the atmosphere a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So some panels we've got it where there's like lots of cheering and everything, and people are happy, and you can get like a taste of that, and that'll really sell it. It's rather than like saying, oh, we're the best convention. You've got evidence. There you go.
Yeah, I really wish I could bottle up what I experienced. I went to Star Wars Celebration Europe when it was last here in 2016, and we just went to the Rebels panel. We don't watch Rebels, but we went and watched it, and to watch fully grown adults lose their shit over the fact that Thorn was going to be coming into Rebels was an experience like no other. Honestly, I wish I could bottle it. I wish I could bottle and sell it, because that was such a buzz. Just all these adults screaming with lightsabers up in the air and that, and there's just like kids looking around having a fucking clue what's going on, and it was absolutely fantastic.
That's the thing. That's what we're coming into with events. Like it's no longer just it's an event. Like I know the term creator economy has been thrown around very liberally now by Americans who are in the creator economy, but it's the experience economy. And that's what you pay for experience. Like high streets are dying. You've got to get people out into high streets now. You've got to have an experience there. You've got to have something that someone will remember, or something you can take a photo of. That's why we've seen places like selfie booths, or places where you can take selfies. Like you walk in and they've got like lots of elaborate sets set up, like much like I was saying with the Sunnycon thing. Like would love like lots of anime sets. Like that's the thing, and that's the kind of thing that'll get you in, because you no longer just go shopping. You've got like a platform and a whole world to show what you're doing while you're shopping.
No, you're absolutely right. Everyone's trying to create content. Because they're either doing it for their Instagram, or TikTok is massive. The amounts of a day in the life of is ridiculous, and I sit and fucking watch them all.
Well, we watch them as like people's made cosplay music videos at Sunnycon. There was one girl who did a blog, and she was like, "Oh, the most underrated convention in UK." I was like, I'll
take that one. I'll take that.
It fills you with a warmth, because that's what we do events for. Like
Yeah.
If it was for money, I'd have quit ages ago because it's not that profitable. But
No.
like, well, it's for the experience because like it's mad to think like there are people who've been brought together because of Sunnycon who now have children because of Sunnycon, and people are married because of Sunnycon. Like the butterfly effect. If I turned around and just stayed on long-term unemployment and nothing had happened from there, like where would we be now?
But to be fair, though, you've got to give yourself a big pat on the back and be very proud of like what it's been. Like, say,
oh no, we are.
Yeah.
We are very aware. Like, not in a, like arrogant. Like,
I'll be a little bit arrogant. You're allowed to be. Fuck it. Come on.
I have 2 awards in my cabinet: the best creative business in Newcastle and best creative business in Sunderland. So,
fuck yeah. Sorry, I forget you've got kids. I'm swearing away. Apologies.
Bands are out. But like, it's like we know where we've been, and like it's been a long journey. It's not just me and Donna. It's like like Rachel and Ben and everybody who's been with us throughout the years, and we've got like a whole staff. If you want Jonathan and his eccentric Yorkshire ways. Like Richard, I'm trying to name them all off so they don't get upset because I'm not.
Because hopefully yous are all watching and paying.
Well, I hope so. But
we're going to be judging yous. We're judging yous all. But yes,
we've got that main body of staff, but it's not just that. It's people who come back and volunteer.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of hard work done over a weekend, and it's like things like unloading like huge boxes of t-shirts, setting up stalls, being like in between for like hundreds of traders and artists and that, and like troubleshooting on the spot. And there's a lot of skill and hard work that's involved in running an event, even though we only run like 3 days a year.
Yeah.
Like the build up, the planning, like everything has to go right, and even when it goes wrong, it has to go right still.
Yeah, it's it was a joy.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, it was probably the first con I've been to that was on multiple floors as well, though, because it wasn't just like a one stage. So that was something that took that took my because it was like remembering, but it was like everything was so well run. Like even like the computer game area, which I know, like from speaking to Donna, like what the troubles you had getting that set up like the days before.
There was a lot like the DJ and everything, because the people we usually have we didn't book, and there was a huge miscommunication. But the guys who ran the gaming area, they do like a lot of retro events as well, and they're very professional, and for them to come in the last second and pull off what they did. Like one of the things that we usually get is, the gaming area, it's smelly, it's dark and whatnot, and we don't believe it is. Like we've been in, and it's not. And like we went in this year, and it's like clean as out.
It was
like
absolutely amazing.
The venue's undergoing like refurbishment, obviously, like the Saudi takeover and whatnot. There's a lot of upgrades being done, and that was the reason we couldn't have our usual bar. But luckily enough, like at St James's Park, they've got 2 bars, and it turns out that the Leazers has like a bar that goes, you go up the like spiral staircase, and there's a bar to the right and there's a bar to the left, and we're like, all right then, that one for partying and that one for relaxing, and that worked out an absolute treat. And so much so that we even got offered like our usual bar. We've said no, we'll have the one that we had last year, because it was just perfect, and it's not too far out of the way as well.
Yeah, and I know the DJ as well you found through Nerdy Up North as well. Like I said, that was quite interesting as well. So that was he's called Weird Rabbit or something, is that right?
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. Wrestler as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Like wow. he came into it, and he didn't know what to expect. And convention parties are an experience within themselves, because you will say, like, I mean, I think it was breakdancing furries this year.
Oh wow! Okay.
It's like furry costumes are restricting enough, but like trying to breakdance and actually successfully breakdancing in them, absolutely amazing.
And I just wanted to dispense a rumor as well. I am a friend to the furries. Not like that was a mistaken of identity last year, where I nearly got chucked out. I wasn't inappropriate to any furries. That's a lie. I wasn't even thinking. That was just like I'd already like told the bloke off, and it was now else. I don't know why you got like wrangling, because like what you're going to get wrong for, because it was during your panel. that was just the weirdest experience. Said Paul, we might have to throw you out, and I was like, what?
What did I do?
If I throw somebody out, I get security to do it. You know, they're paid to be like.
I thought Sam was security the way she was going.
Nah, she got mixed up, but that was all
Oh, bless
sorted
her.
out. But like, there's a lot that goes on like in conventions and whatnot. It's not all good stuff either. Like
No.
we've had our fair share of like really bad incidents, and like it can be anything from somebody being injured to like. Unfortunately, we're seeing sexual harassment at the event.
Oh my
and
god.
it's just one of those things that you've got to try and take and understand that is going to happen at some point. If you run an event, that's going to happen. Like all the big events have had it. I think there was one MCM where there was like a video of a guy actually being properly wrestled out and thrown like proper bum rush style like out of the venue.
Yeah,
because unfortunately there is like one or two bad eggs within the community.
Mm-hmm.
There is, and
that just goes into the risk assessment of like more stuff that you can do, and you just got to try and adapt to every situation that's thrown at you.
No, definitely, and I think with anything, as you said, it's like you learn as you go on. You can never like gauge or like you can plan for the worst, but something will always go.
Even worse.
Over that.
Best laid plans of mice and men and all that.
So, because I know Sunnycon is coming up, with it only being a few months away now. So, what surprises or like what excitement like can we expect from this year's Sunnycon?
It's more of a Genshin theme, and this is done on feedback. We do a lot on feedback. It's weird because like some events they'll hold like a post-mortem at the end. That sounds more grim when I say post-mortem. They'll hold feedback at the end of an event, and they'll be like, "So what did you like? What did you not like?" But I've found over the time that you can ask fans what went good for them, what didn't, and you'll just end up in this big jumble because like trying to decipher what 4,000 to 10,000 people want.
Yeah.
It's difficult, so you've got to go on your gut feeling. And what I found is, if it's something that I don't know of, like after an event, I know everything that's went wrong.
Yeah,
I even make notes. Like I had a huge A4 like sheet of like what I did wrong here, what went wrong here, what could have been done better here. And it's always that thing of like trying to be self-critical, but also improve. Excuse me. And that's what we've tried to do with every Sunnycon. We know what's went wrong, and we know how to improve it. And every year we've patched up whatever's went wrong and moved on that way. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've got such like a good community feel to it now.
No, definitely. And that's what I loved about it as well. Like even people walking around, they were just being so caring and nice to each other as well. Where like, see, I've been to other conventions where there's like, say, the bitch element where people are slagging off people's costumes or looking at, like, say, it's like the high school thing. But like, again, I know it sounds strange. Like, I've never experienced anything like it. It might have been the heat. I'll be honest. Like, the fucking heat nearly killed us. But it was just nice because I think at one point, like, all the guys went around giving away leaflets to try and get like the gauge. People to come to the panel because we wanted people to be there, even though we didn't want people to be there because we were terrified. But I just sat down for a bit and just watched, and like just people watched because, like, say, I'm weird. I'll be honest. And seeing everyone's interactions and stuff like that, it was just quite like I took a lot from it because, like, say, a lot of stuff that was done that day, like. I tried to implement a little bit to what we do at Nerdy Up North. It was like implementing, like, say, how everyone treats each other and be like kind and, like, say, not, and just treat people differently as well, not all under the same brush. But that kind of like thing just totally blew us away. I've never experienced like an event like it before. It is.
It's and the thing is, like, it's trying to keep like negative elements out of it. You're never going to completely get rid of negativity, but all you can do is just be positive and go forward with like a more positive attitude for it. Like I say, there's some kind of events that you kind of feel like you walk in the hall and you're just surrounded by trainers, and it can be overwhelming. Like, I'm not saying like, we're not overwhelming. People get overwhelmed at our event and that, but it's trying to get that kind of the community feel around it, where people go. And they've planned for it. They've got like some idea of what they want to do, even if it changes like last second. Yeah. And we've tried to incorporate things like giving hotel bookings, like where you can book and pay later. we update our travel, even though the metros are off every goddamn Sunnycon.
Oh no, bless you.
You know, we had train strikes this year as well. It's like little things like we try to make the experience a lot more comfortable, because people, you know, you got to go to an event, you got to be on your feet all day, you got to probably spend more than you should spend.
Yeah,
and like
that's
you're
my
going to feel drained.
convention.
At some point, you're going to turn around and look at yourself in the mirror and go, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me in every convention.
All you've got to do is try and make it so they can look back on it and go, "Oh, but this good thing happened, and this good thing happened, and this good thing happened," and like, so it's like, yeah, like you get your money's worth, so to speak.
Oh, definitely, and the best probably compliment I can give you as well, and this will stay with me till probably like the day I die. Like one of our good friends, like I say, Nicole went with her son, and her son's very doesn't like people, doesn't like crowds. And he gets, like say, quite attached to his mother, and like say, she won't mind us saying, like say, he has, like say, like trying to put the words out right nicely. Like say, he just struggles in them type of environments, and he absolutely loved the day.
He did. He did.
Like
He
say,
had such a good day.
she sent us a message afterwards that she's never seen him so happy and so comfortable, and that's down to you. To eat that again.
It's like you said, it's one of the things like we wanted over the years, like things like our wellness room. We took in feedback because people were like, "Well, I'm overstimulated. There's too much color. There's too much noise. Even like the smell. Like if you got near the cafe, it always smells like salt and vinegar for some reason." But like it can be an overpowering experience, and we've had that. Like, you know, I don't like being overstimulated myself. Well,
well,
that's a different podcast.
Yeah, that's a completely different one.
I was gonna say that's for Goodwills and Donald's late night show, shall we say?
After hours. But like what we've taken from it is like there's a lot of people, and like there's a lot of neurodivergent people there. There's a lot of people who need assistance or somewhere just to like escape from it all.
Yeah.
Like you can be a fan of something, but you can't hack the environment that's something celebrated in.
Yeah,
it's like if you like football, but you know you're reverted to crowd sounds and that. Like I took Gareth to a football match, and he's got like autism, and he has to wear the ear defenders. And it's trying like just things like that, like ear defenders that'll like block out the noise and that. In the wellness room, you can take yourself to the side and be in a relaxed environment where you're not surrounded by people and strangers, and like all these big characters and costumes that can be scary. So rather than like, you know, in most venues you'd have to like run out and then get a stamp on your hand, or like, you know, you've got your wristband or something. You can actually be on site. So there's no need to escape when the escape's within the event.
I'll tell you what though, it took us a fucking long time to get the wristband off. I'll give you that.
I would tell people it's a scary, because like most conventions, when we started, most conventions give you like a badge, like proper VIP lanyard and badge, and that's cool. That's fantastic and fine. And we tried it out for Sunnycon too, and people were just walking out of the venue, giving the badge to the mate and walking in.
Oh God. Yeah.
And I'm like, right then, so the security for the badges isn't good. Like, it's all fine and well for residential conventions with on-site hotels, where like the party's all on site. You know, no one's going to go out and give it to the mate because they've got a hotel room booked on the same venue.
Yeah.
So that works for them, but it doesn't work for us. But there's a lot of people who's like, "Oh, can you get badges back?" I'm like, well, wristbands are the best security at the moment. And now they've brought out wristbands which have RFID like tagging, and it's very inexpensive. But we don't have like scanners, and like if you could scan and tell us where you are at what time, and we can harvest your data. We can get who you're buying from and where you're buying from. You know.
So this is the future plans for Sunnycon. We are going to watch you. We are always watching you.
You'll see it at other events. It will happen at a point where like you'll get sent out like a wristband before, so you don't have to come in and scan your ticket. Like they'll probably send you a wristband out or something, and like say RFID, just just scan yourself in, and they'll have them all over. I mean, it would make like the queuing a little bit easier, but I prefer like the tickets. You come in, you get to say hi to us.
Yeah,
that's the one thing that you won't have at other conventions. Like the actual like people who run the convention are on the front desk. Like Donna's usually on the front desk, and you get to speak to the chairwoman then and there. Like, you don't get greeted by the boss. You don't have Jeff Bezos delivering your Amazon parcels.
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
Elon Musk isn't going to like welcome you for signing up to Twitter out like that. Well, you got Donna on the front desk.
I think that honestly, your queue last year was one of the best queues I've ever been in. It wasn't very long. Like, we didn't wait too long. It seemed really well organized. We had some guy dancing down the queue. Like, it was just fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
like,
he was looking at his waiters when he was playing his music. I didn't like that too much. So, yeah.
I waited for nearly an hour and a bit for the Love of Horror queue once. Your queue was so well organized. Like, it was like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, that's years of mistakes learned.
Oh, right.
Like, Sunnycon 3, I think we opened an hour late.
Yeah,
and that Sunnycon 3 or 4, because we had a queue, and our queues go long, and like, we had like half a Seaburn just a queue, and we were trying to get all of the tents in place, and like, we couldn't go ahead without like the say-so of health and safety, and it took us like an extra hour just to make sure like everything was sandbagged down and that, and even then, like, didn't. And like I say, that's them mistakes that we've learned from. Like, we've moved over to like an electronic ticketing system, and like, we're even improving it next year, because it'll be a case of, now you bring it in, we'll scan it with a phone or any scanning device or a tablet. I'm just going to have it where you bring it in, you can scan it yourself. Like, we'll have like a row of tablets, and like, beep, and then you give them the corresponding wristband. And like, it's daft things like that make the event, because we've stood in queues before. We've went to like the big MCMs like in Glasgow, and I think we were in for like 2 hours. And that's like, and that's if you can get through the whole. There's an early bird ticket, but there's also a normal ticket, but the early bird queue isn't like clearly labeled. Like, we clearly labeled VIP, premium, and priority entry, and like general entry. And
well, I think last year we were laughing our heads off because Charlotte was like, "Well, we're part of the panel. We can just walk the front of the queue, can't we?" We went, no, Charlotte, we cannot do that.
No, Charlotte.
Everybody's got to wait.
Yeah,
because you get that look, because people wait from like 6 o'clock in the morning, and if you're not a trader, just breezing past them in, you get the death stares and
yeah.
So
we don't want
to give priority or preference to anyone. We've even had staff at the waiting queue before.
To be fair, though, we've gotten in this time because Grant's been a trader, isn't he? So we can just all pretend that we're helping Grant.
Oh my God, Grant's trading. I did not know that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's doing like him and his lovely ladies doing like the interesting facial masks.
Ah,
I love them. I want one of these pieces.
Well, there's a subject there for you.
facial masks.
Yes.
Oh, I always end up saying something wrong when it comes to Grant. I'm used to it now.
But so what future plans? I know, as you said, it's always thinking one step ahead. So, like, because I always thought, because I know a lot of the small local cons now are doing like different type of things. Like, I know a lot of the ones are doing small like wrestling events in. So I know you are a wrestling fan. Is that not something that's potentially
huge wrestling fan?
Yes.
Like, I'll just get AEW to come on.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, with the Saudis taking over Newcastle, it's more likely that WWE gone. But that's a whole different story for it. But no, we don't want to incorporate much more. It's one of those. We're in a niche. We like that niche. We're comfortable in that niche.
Yeah.
We do want to expand it though. We do want to add, like I say, rather than just being Japanese culture, we want Korean culture. Like there's an anime coming out called Solo Leveling, which I recommend everybody watch because it's going to be huge. And like we're seeing a lot more of like Korean manga coming in, Chinese manga or manhwa being released, and like I say, the landscape of like multimedia is changing within the anime community. Anime is more accessible. Everybody can get it, like in your local Asda or Morrison's supermarkets and that. And it's now a case of like, you know, how can we accommodate like potential new fans, and what can we do to bring, not only just bring them in, but keep them in and keep them coming back. It was one of them weird things I was trying to recap to Donna, because this year's Sunnycon was a different vibe to the usual Sunnycons, because we have a set amount of like usual people who will attend, and they all enjoy themselves. Or if they don't, they're not telling me to my face. And when we came back after the pandemic, like people who were 15 were now eligible to go to our after parties.
Yeah.
And like we're seeing that, like, because we offer tickets for 12s and unders, you can come for free because that's how we'll hook you. You can come for free with your parents, but you want to come back the next year, and then you'll start paying us. It's how all businesses work. You know, I'm not like a sleazy. Well, I might be a sleazy businessman, but it's like that's
in
just
the nicest way possible.
That's how you build a sustainable audience. Like it's one of them things. Like when we first started, we were like, well, should we just be an 18+ event? I was like, well, no, because where's the audience going to come from?
No,
yeah,
no,
and that's one of the things. Like we say, like there are 18+ only events, but where the filter for them, they come from to our event. Here, there's an 18+ convention, and then they'll move on to that, but they'll still come to Sunnycon, and we felt that this year it was a lot more youthful.
Yeah,
there was a lot of new like faces. Like over the last like decade, we have worked and seen and spoke to so many people who attend.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like the old guard, and I think a few of them are actually feeling old.
yeah,
because of that. And
it's one. I think, like as you said, the new guard, but I think lockdown in a way helped anime a lot because a lot of people were looking for new content to absorb, and like not a lot of the new stuff was getting made, so they were venturing out. So a lot of people have been like discovering anime due to like say the lack of decent content being made elsewhere.
It is, and that's the thing. We need to capitalize on that and like try and bring people in. And we've also got to change because we don't want to. One of the main like things, one of the main like pillars of Sunnycon is we don't want to feel like the same event every year.
Yeah.
Each year we have to feel like a completely different event than the last one. Obviously, there's going to be some structural things there that are similar: the charity auction, the cosplay contests, the venue. But like
no podcast.
It's one of the reasons like why we have like a traders and artists. We do it different to people.
Yeah.
A lot of people have complained that like, oh well, I filled in the form, but like that was 1 minute and it closed after a minute. It's like, yeah, we reach our quota. There's that many people applying.
Yeah.
And rather than have the same traders and artists, we open it on a first come first serve basis.
And I did love having a conversation with a lot of the artists, like say at the time, where you're walking around talking about the artwork they were doing. It's as you said, it wasn't just selling Funko Pops, or like say if you want Funko Pops, there is Funko Pop seller.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some there, but it's the variety that we offer. And that variety is only brought from like random kiosks.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like a few of the regulars will be left out because their forms aren't put in. But if we just have the same traders, the same artists over and over again, they are talented. They are passionate about what they do, and they do a great job. But we need to keep a varied thing and give new people a chance. Try and give new people a chance because it's got to be an open market. And like we're still getting messages now from people who are like, "Oh, I've just heard about Sunnycon. Where can I sign up and get a table?"
Yeah.
And because like most events aren't sold out of their tables for like until like a month before the event. Like we sold out like, and we've got 11 months of like people just like, "Oh, can I be put on the waiting list? Can I be put on the waiting list?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "But the waiting list's full." It sounds like I'm like
it's I can understand where you're coming from, but like the demand there. But I think one of the things that I found quite refreshing as well is a lot of the traders were from the northeast.
Oh yeah,
so that was
like get a lot of local ones, a lot of people from further afield as well.
Yeah.
We've had people come internationally to trade at Sunnycon as well, which always surprises me. It's like you've heard of us, like in the northeast, and you've spent thousands traveling here just to get it. But it's like I say, it's an amazing mix, and it just adds to the vibe of the event. And like we would love to be able to have more traders and artists. We would absolutely love to have it, but that would mean hiring out another floor.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, oh well, on level 2 you've got the main traders hall, then level 4 you've got the artists, then level 6 you've got to like walk along one of the corridors all the way around the venue.
Like where does it end?
it wouldn't be fair on the people who are on like floor 6 because there's a much greater distance to travel to get to like the Magpie Suite, which is what we used to use as like a auxiliary panel room at one point, and people don't like to walk a lot.
Yeah.
Even though we're on like
It's
4
a
or
long-
5 different floors, it's a lot of walking to do. And
Mhm.
if you're well out of the way, and we saw that with, I think it was King Con at Stadium of Light, because they had their traders room like around
Yeah.
in the Sunnycon bar, and as a Sunderland fan, like I can walk it, I'm fine with that. But a lot of people are like, that's way too out of the way.
Yeah.
And then you get upset traders and artists who are like, well, the footfall was terrible.
Yeah.
And well,
I
like,
remember that convention.
it's trying to avoid things like, so would love to grow like that, but the stadium can only house us in so much of a way.
Yeah.
And that hence why like the demand is much greater than what we can supply at the moment.
No, and it's as you said, it's a problem, but it's a nice problem to have type thing.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Because I know we went on the Sunday because that was when we were booked in, but I was laughing when I was walking around talking to the traders as well, because I don't even think the traders expected like the boom that they got, because a lot of those people ran out of stock the day before, so they were panicking trying to get more stock like wherever they could get it from for the second day, because it like say as you said, first world problems. But I think this year, like I said, the stock list might be a little bit more different, shall we say?
Well, that's the thing. Like new traders, I'm going to be doing like a fun little tutorial video for like trade, because I've been on both sides. You know, I'm organizer and I've also traded at events.
Yeah,
and like the way people are trading at events, there's so much that's being underutilized at the moment. Like say things like social media platforms, going on YouTube, just doing live streams from your from your stall. Just stick a camera, live stream on. Obviously, tell people like you're recording, because some people don't like to be recorded.
Yeah.
But you, as long as, and that's like content and out there, and like a lot of people don't advertise that they're going to an event.
No.
I've noticed like over the years, and that's something that hasn't changed. Like a lot of people say like, oh, well, it's your responsibility as a convention to advertise and bring in the footfall and that. It's like, well, no, it should be like a symbiotic relationship where you also promote your appearance here. You get your fan base interested in our fan base and mix it together, and that'll just lead to greater footfall.
But that's just common sense. So when it comes to it as well, what people should, I don't think, well, people, because like even when we have guests on the podcast, we send them like the information. Say, look, this is what we do. If you share it with your friends and family, then like I said, they will like probably come and watch you type thing. So some people don't even like share the information that they're coming on. So it's kind of like.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like word of mouth is a really underutilized like promotional tactic, and it's one of those things like you think like, say like if we get 1,000 subscribers on Sunnycon, if like all 1,000 of them watched one of my 10-hour challenges, then you know I'm monetized. But some people like they've got to be persuaded a lot more, because there's a lot more content out there and there's a lot more stuff that even just giving a like on a Facebook post, it can seem like a chore. But it's something that it'll pick up, the algorithm pick it up, it'll share it about, and then you get a wider audience and it brings more people in. And that's the goal. But it's trying to get people now interested enough so they will press the like button. And that's with the traders and artists as well. You want to grow your fan base. We've got a fan base already. Some people have not heard of you. Promote your wares. Go on our Facebook group. Like if you're selling something amazing, share it about. It's there. The tools are there, but
it's like show off what you're doing. Like be proud of it and just be boastful, not in a like say, as you said, a over like egotistic way. To say just be confident. Just be confident about what you do.
That's that kind of confidence, even though it can be brash to some people.
I think there needs to be some form of arrogance.
That's how Elon Musk became so popular. He's an arrogant twat.
Yes,
but people love him because he's an arrogant twat. And the thing is, like, obviously, if he didn't have the money, he wouldn't be as interesting as he is. But people call him a genius for some reason. But it's just things like take a look at big businesses and that. I mean, you might be like a small stall selling like keychains and art prints and that, but there's no reason that you shouldn't be making a F ton of money. There's no reason like you should be going to a convention and walking away from it thinking, oh, you know, I've actually lost money on the hotels and that. You want to go there, you want to sell out everything. Like absolutely, like that was me when I was a trader. I went and I had anime stuff. I took chances. I bought Naruto energy drink before it was even like allowed in the UK. I had it shipped in.
Bloody hell!
And I was like, God, the cost of importing and like paying VAT on it and everything. I think I had to sell every can at £1.75 just to break even on it.
Yeah.
I was like, no one's going to pay £1.75 for a can. And then you go to an anime convention and it's like, they're willing to pay like up to a £5.
Yeah, and they'll pay. They will pay, especially for unique items that you're not going to get anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what people want. They want that. And you've got to advertise. You've got to go out there and you've got to, you know, even if it's just like sharing a post, like if we put up a post saying tickets are on sale still, or there's X amount of days till our event. If all of our traders and artists had shared that, that would be around about 200 shares.
Yeah.
And 200 shares on Facebook's now to be sniffed at.
No.
And
absolutely not.
It's that things like that. Like, you know, if everybody like watched one of our live streams and we got that watch time, like, you know, we could be earning money off YouTube, which we can then reinvest into the event. And that's the plan going forward. I'd like to be able to have a sustainable thing, not just because, like, you know, the YouTube thing, that it will fund my crazy ideas. I've got if you've heard of an organizational app called Trello, I have 100 and odd ideas at the moment, just for YouTube content, and most of them actually cost a lot of money. But it's that thing, like if I have the disposable, if I can turn around to Donna and say, like, I can justify this because I'm making money off YouTube and we don't have to take from the event where it's like, oh, the event couldn't run ahead. Well, why? Well, because Tucky bought a sushi shop on a whim.
Well, that's the thing. It's like trying to like capture the madness in a bottle, and like say, going with the ones that, like as you said, that gets there. Like say, but again, with doing YouTube ourselves. A lot of people think, oh, it's just doing videos and stuff. There's a lot of fucking hard work that goes in behind it, and there's a lot of shit you got to put up. Like just doing like an everyone tag on a Facebook group, the amount of hassle you've got to put. But I can still remember like some very good advice you gave me when I first started up as well. I don't know if you remember this because I was joking on saying, where do you see Nerdy Up North go? And I was going, we'll do a Nerdy Up North con one day, and you took us to one side with. Friends don't let other friends do.
Don't let friends do. I didn't have any friends to stop me.
No, I still remember that. But that's the thing.
Well, if like conventions aren't a money making thing. Like you could live off YouTube. The amount of money, like I see parents turn around and old people turn around and be like, oh, YouTube's just a bunch of people who want to be celebrities and that. You know, I don't trust them. I trust Piers Morgan more. You know, daft things like that. And you think and you look at, like, say, like the big like contributors like Mr. Beast. He's able to spend $4 million on every video. Yeah, $4 million every single video, and he's got his own sound stage that he's had built and everything. And that's just from constantly doing content. I mean, obviously he's hyper fixated on it. Yeah, like he's one of the, you know, he's got philanthropy and everything. I think he's spread himself a bit too thin, to be honest. I'm worried for his health, but he doesn't know me. No. But
to be fair, I'm sure you can help him out. Mr. Beast will reach out. Mr. Beast, Tucky wants to help you.
Take a bit of time off, lad. But like the thing is, like, you don't have to have like the 100 million subscribers or whatever. You can probably get like about 50,000 subscribers, and you could have like an average wage. Like a proper livable wage, just off AdSense. And that's not including things like getting sponsorships and that. And like I said, for Sunnycon, that's an untapped market for us. Yeah. If we were able to do fun stuff on YouTube, it not only promotes Sunnycon because like people are, oh, Sunnycon channel, oh, there's also an event. I might look into it and might go. It's not just promotion. It's like that could be a steady revenue thing because you only work 3 days a year, like proper graft work. I mean, obviously we work every day of the year. Yeah. And like, there's a lot of planning and putting things into place. But from the outside, people just think, oh, you just work 3 days. Yeah, like my mum and dad think, oh, well, you only work 3 days a year. You know, you're not.
Oh, that would annoy you. That would annoy you.
It's not a proper job, is it? Until you're like breaking your back for somebody else. Exactly. But like say, YouTube's it's still underestimated even now. Like when people hear like their kid turn around and say, oh, I want to be a YouTuber, when they grow up and they just scoff at the idea. Yeah. Like Gareth came to me and says, I want to be a YouTuber. I'm like, yeah, do it.
Okay, like where do we start? Like what have you got in mind?
Let's start now. Start recording everything. Record everything.
It's a creative process. It makes kids create. It makes kids and people creative.
He got nearly 2,000 views doing a short of Bear just running around.
Yeah, that was adorable.
Fuck yeah.
You know, he did one video which were like, it had me in kinks of laughter. He's like, how to fall down the stairs, step 1, and he like throws his phone down the stairs, so it looks like he's actually tumbling down. And it's like
I can't do this one because the school might come back about this one.
that from a 10-year-old kid, like that kind of like originality in that.
No,
like it scares us how much potential there is.
No,
and the thing is, like YouTube, like say YouTube, it's like there's billions of dollars there, just waiting for people because advertisers are going to YouTube. Like the Super Bowl's no longer the be all and end all of like advertising revenues and that. Like companies are legitimately going out there and spending billions on influencers because it gets more views.
Definitely, no.
And then that's like say for Sunnycon, we want a slice of that, and I'd like to reinvest that money in crazy schemes and improving the event.
Definitely. So just like say, telling us about the event. So again, if people aren't listening, or like say the links to the website is in the descriptions. But if you can just tell us a few dates when people should be, like, say, getting excited, like, because I know you do like Sunnycon, but you've got the after party and like the before party and stuff like that.
Get hyped now. It's over June 23rd to the 25th this year. It's obviously at St James's Park, where we've got like 4 or 5 different floors, different things. We've got separate panel rooms for fan panels and guest panels. Maybe getting a few more like people in to talk about like stuff that's related to fandom. It's not all anime, and I had somebody ask me if it's like, oh, are you only allowed to dress up as anime characters? And no, you can dress up as whatever the hell you want. I remember Sunnycon 2, somebody dressed up as Pedo Bear.
Oh, right.
Wow, that's a choice.
That was a hell of a choice. And
that is a choice. I've got to say, for a convention that I didn't think was for me, like as in my interests, it very much was. There's a lot in there. It's not just a case of like it's anime and that's it, and that wasn't it at all. I felt like there was something there for me too.
Yeah,
which I really appreciated.
Like the branding's obviously it's got to be anime and like
I'll totally get that.
Well, like when you look at it, like the Comic-Con's a 10 a penny now. Like you've got the mix of like, well, we've got sci-fi. Like the amount of like flyers I see where people just use like PNGs that have taken off Google of like Spider-Man, and they use that to advertise the convention or event. Like Spider-Man, there's like Funko Pops and whatnot, and that like dotted Braille like pattern. Like there's a lot of similar stuff coming out now.
Well, to be fair, I stole the Shining background for hours. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's artists out there who probably do it for like cheap. Like there's a huge like talent pool out there. Like for 10 to 20 quid, you can get really good like artwork, and like for a little bit more, you can get even better artwork.
Definitely.
But it's like for the event, it's June, it's peak of summer. It's going to be warm. We hope. There has been times where we think it's going to be warm and it's been snowing and blizzards, and
the good old northeast guys.
Yay!
When we used to run in March, like we had like the middle of a gale force wind storm, like beast from the east kind of thing. There was Sunnycon 2. We decided, we'll have camping. We'll hire out the camping grounds next to the Seaburn, next to Morrison's. I paid, I think, 250 quid to hire it out from the council. Did all the paperwork and everything, and one person camped.
Oh no!
And it was in the freezing cold snow.
Oh my god, that poor person!
Well, they were first in the queue.
Well done then.
Well, it's like right in the middle of March snow, and like we thought like, well, spring's starting, it should be feeling a bit fresher, and we were drastically wrong. So that's probably one of the reasons why we actually moved to June. Because like Sunnycon, it's sunny. It's literally in the name.
But it really is. It's like I'm just getting that. Oh my god, what's wrong with my brain? It really is in the name.
The only thing I was going to ask as well, Tucky, because I know you are coming to a convention with us soon as well, Nerdfest. You've told us beforehand you're going to be entering the cosplay competition. Do we get to know what the cosplay is?
Or is it I'm a judge, so no, you can't do that.
I only want preferential treatment. That games cabinet looks mint.
Right.
Well, I've seen the standard of cosplay and that. Like mine's just like a bit of a mess about it. I've never entered a cosplay contest since I was Gandalf.
Right.
And this was like Tolkien Con at Gateshead Library ages ago. I was also a host there. I was also a host at that convention too, but
Mhm.
it's a weird feeling because like a lot of people think, oh well, you run an event, you're not really that interested, you're more like for the money. I'm
Mhm.
all the business side, and where I am all the business side, I actually attend events.
Yeah.
Like I say, I am an attendee more than I am a convention organizer, and
Mhm.
even though I do take a lot of baggage with us, like I will be like judging the convention
Mhm.
over. I'll not be leaving the personal feedback, because if you run a convention, you've got to know what you're doing wrong. And if you don't know what you're doing wrong, then you don't deserve to succeed.
True.
But it's like I love just attending other conventions because
Mhm.
I like nicking ideas as well.
Yeah.
It's
I have to admit,
No, but I get that. It's
I-
marketing research.
I am very excited by Nerdfest because Johnny Five is going to be there.
I'll be make Craig's gone just for Johnny Five. He's got he 3D prints like loads of short circuit stuff.
Mhm.
And like the Johnny Five, the big real life Johnny Five was the thing that got him to get 3D printing it.
Oh, that's so
And,
cool.
Like for me, it's just messing about. It's a good kind of like takes me away from like it's not my event.
Yeah.
fair,
I love it. I love it when it's somebody else's responsibility. Like
To be fair,
And you can
Tucky,
just
I promise you,
enjoy
you'll
it.
get a sticker. You'll definitely get a sticker.
Oh, well, I'm thinking of doing a YouTube video as well. Like I've got a
cool.
whole, I've got like a warehouse supply worth of Pocky that I'm thinking of just giving away and doing a video of giving away 100 boxes of Pocky.
Just random
because I
people
can.
just in. Would you like this?
Well, back just before Christmas, I was like, right, I want to do a video where it involves Pocky, because Pocky is a huge like weeb snack.
Mhm.
Like everybody loves Pocky, and I thought to myself, well, if I do like a eating contest, how could I stage that up? And then health and safety comes in. What if somebody chokes and dies?
Mhm.
And so I'm just like, well, Donna came up with the idea actually the other day where she's like, well, why don't you just give the boxes of Pocky away, because they'll only get out of date if you got to sit and take your time with it. So I'm like,
Mhm.
that's actually a good idea.
Ah,
So just have like
Content.
a 8-minute montage of me giving people boxes of
Fuck
Pocky.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
content, man.
just stick a GoPro Pro on you and just send you away.
Yeah. It's
Sounds
just
cool.
fun things like that. Like I've seen it done at other conventions where they give things away,
Mhm.
and like some of the best like things I see at conventions. Like there was a lass who went around and she played the Melioda, like the thing
Mhm.
like you're blowing to in piano.
Yeah.
I think it's called Melioda or something like that.
No
And
idea.
she just went up to cosplayers who were dressed as like characters
Mhm.
and like blew a tune on it. That was the tune for the.
Oh yes, I did see that one. See that though. I've been
that went
watching a lot of
viral.
Scuba Steph, so that's probably wrong. And the fast food family, but that's another story. It's not family
like
friendly, so
like
don't touch it.
It's that things like that make the experience, because then
Mm-hmm.
cosplayers weren't expecting it to happen, and
Mhm.
like I mean, people are going to expect Pocky from us now.
Yeah,
But
you're gonna be Tucky the Pocky guy.
among all the names I'm given.
Yes, very
Well,
much
it's
so.
it's just doing fun stuff. Just like I like to
Yeah.
go to the events and
Mhm.
do fun stuff. We used to do Sunnycon on tour series where we just go to another event,
Mhm.
film what was going on, maybe film a few panels and that. It's not as entertaining looking back in it now. It's pretty like the quality of video is a bit dog shit.
But that's the thing. It's a standard. If you look back at our first episodes of the podcast, they were shite.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But I'm thinking if I can progress on a little bit, I've learned a few new like tricks and tips, and I've got
Mhm.
like people in a group who will give us like brutal feedback if needed be,
Mhm.
and like you can only improve. Like
Yeah.
it's one of the big things. Like I've watched so many videos of like how to improve your YouTube videos and all
Mhm.
the tips and tricks videos. Half of them are just people like how to make money from an automated YouTube channel. It's just grafts
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
grifters and that.
Uh,
Like how I became super wealthy doing bot all.
no,
And I hate videos like that.
no.
But in between them, there's like, oh, you can do
There's
this.
something.
you
Yeah.
can do
To
that.
be fair though, I'll be
there's a
happy if
skill
I
set
get it.
there.
I'll be happy if I get a badge. That's all I want. If I get a YouTube badge to say I've got like say so many subscribers, I think that'll be happy for me. I think
I think
that's
it's 100,000 subscribers, you get the silver plaque. 1 million's the gold plaque.
yeah, not far
Uh,
off.
I think they were giving them out to like 30 million, but only if you're like a big Hollywood
Mhm.
company.
Yeah.
And obviously the 100 million, you get like this proper backrat Ruby
Mhm.
and Crystal. And I watched Jack Sucks at Life, and he's got like every play button known to man.
Jesus, I'll get there one day. But yes,
Just keep trying, keep plugging away.
keep trying. what I was going to say is, I do apologise for this. I am going to have to wrap up soon, just because I've heard noises downstairs. My wife has just came back from Australia.
Oh, your wife's coming
so
home.
I'm all happy and smiley, but I'm just cooing over the cats as I can hear. But yes, just want to say, Tucky, thank you so much for coming on. Like I say, it's been quite informative, as I knew you would always educate us as well. So that's always, like I say, the entertaining part. But I can't wait for Sunnycon. I can't wait to see you at Nerdfest as well.
Yes.
And again, like I say, any wacky YouTube ideas that you've got and videos, if we can help with or be a part of, please fire away.
We'll do it.
Me next one, I'm going to be breaking a world record.
Well, we've got a Goodwill, and Goodwill will do fucking anything we ask him to. So he is our bitch.
If you need a Goodwill, there is a Goodwill right there for you.
Yes. We will rent him out, and he doesn't cost anything.
Absolutely. Just make sure them tips are frosted, and we're all good.
Yes. So remember, again, when does Tucky's... When's so it's
23rd to the 25th, www.sunnyconanimeexpo.com. Tickets are on site.
Links are in the description. Please buy your tickets. We will be there. We don't know what day we're going to be on yet. I know Tucky's going to be sorting.
We've got guests as well. We've got Laura Stahl, who is the voice of Barbara in Genshin. She's also in Promised Neverland, and Koi Dao. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Who's also in Genshin. So if you like Genshin, this event is definitely for you.
Cool.
I forgot to say that. We have guests this year.
I know. I was hitting that earlier, but then you start I didn't want to break your floor. So.
No, I've Donna in the corner going guests.
Yeah. Guests. Bless her. And thank you, Donna, for setting this up as well. I know you're not well, but we've missed you, Donna. Don't worry.
We miss you, Donna. We love you, Donna.
That's fine.
Bless her. I'll not be mean to you anymore, but yes. So, and again, like I say, as I've said to Tucky many times, he is a welcome member on our podcast, so he can join us anytime he wants. So hopefully we'll see more.
The schedule's got to be absolutely packed for the next 6 months.
I understand.
We'll catch you afterwards.
We'll probably catch you at the convention again, just so you can shout at us a little bit more. So that's fine. But yes, so. We're not live this Sunday.
Nope, we are not. We are live on Monday for you lucky people.
So we're doing Monday night, and we're talking about the boys from the Dwarf. We're going back, talking about the Red Dwarf, how we found it. We've got a few interesting people. We've actually got a member coming on. She was part of the Be More Geek thing, Gwen. She actually runs her own Red Dwarf fan page, which I found out.
Wow.
So
that is amazing.
So we're going to get schooled on Red Dwarf.
A kipper.
Yes. Smoke me a kipper. I'll be back in the morning.
Breakfast.
I love Red Dwarf. It was the one sci-fi thing that me mum and dad were actually into.
So many happy memories when it comes to the Dwarf, though, as well.
And you'll hear all about them on Monday.
Yes, and Goodwill and Graham have recorded their episode of Star Trekking at Nerdy Up North, so I'm sorry they're not live tonight, but we take precedence, so fuck you.
Fuck you, Goodwill.
There will be I will upload that video tomorrow, so you're going to get you'll not be missing any weekend content, so you'll have Goodwill and Graham to keep you company. But yes, and I look forward to watching Tucky's more project. And again, if you do check out the Sunnycon YouTube channel, Tucky has just uploaded
videos.
Yes, Tucky has just uploaded a video where he walked a million steps.
A million
miles would have been a million steps in 1 month.
That's taking it past the Proclaimers, that.
Yes.
I'll be stumped by the end of it.
Yes, but yes, so watch it. It is quite entertaining. The editing is amazing, and good old Donna done the editing as well. There was a bit where there was actually Tucky and Professor Tucky in the same room. That totally blew my mind. I was like, how the fuck did they do that? So,
I'm going to get it watched.
Professor
Michael, yes, that was the thing, because he looked all professional and sexy in his white coat. But yes, and if you check out Sammy's Patreon episode that went live this morning for Game of Thrones, was it episode 8?
Episode 8, all about Aegon's conquest.
Yes.
That led into other shit, because Aegon's conquest didn't last very long. Well, it did, but there's not a lot of talking points, so it led into a lot of things.
You're not selling it, Sammy.
I'm going to try. Watch the episode and you'll understand why.
Yes.
It's available on Patreon. It'll be available on YouTube very soon. Lee, always appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. I've said it all the time, so thank you.
She's
And
linking
thank
it
you to
just
the
for
chat.
you, Lee. That's all she cares
Lee,
about.
honestly, that is exactly how I put it on every episode. It's like I'm just talking to Lee. So yeah, thank you to all the chat who's joined us tonight. Yes, you have tried to make me laugh. I will admit that, but you did not succeed. So there
Yes.
you go.
But also as well, we have had a bit of a change around in episodes. So coming up after the Red Dwarf one, we've got the True crime, isn't it? That's correct.
Yeah,
true crime.
You wanted to get true crime out.
Yes, because all the girls wouldn't stop talking about true crime in the Discord, so I had to get the content out before they give up all the spoilers. So
Cool.
So the Peachy will be back as well. Good old Sarah.
Awesome.
But thank you so much, Tucky, for tonight.
Thank
like
you,
say,
Tucky.
I'm now getting ready for WrestleMania weekend now.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yes,
I
that's
need
going to be
educating out.
Yes, I think it's going to be one of the better ones we've had in a few years. But yes, we should have done a wrestling podcast now. I've got time. No, we haven't got time. My wife will kill us.
I think she would.
So yes,
just do a live watching thing. Just have you reacting live to WrestleMania at like 2:00 in the morning.
To be fair though, we do that on the group normally with the comments. It's normally just me and Donna and Gabe going, "Fuck yeah!"
And then
just get bunches together in the same room, get a couple of drinks in, and
I'm not going in the same room as Gabe.
Wrestling.
That guy scares me. But yes,
I don't have to watch it. I just have to read the comment thread and know exactly what's going on. So it's perfect for me.
Definitely. But yes, so same bat time, same bat channel, guys.
Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Well.